Hey, good to see you guys all here this morning. You glad you came? I'm glad that I came too. Man, I walked in earlier this morning and I felt like a zombie. Man, I was feeling horrible. Been battling the sickness, but I'm feeling good now. So I'm ready. I'm excited for this word here. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And I think this is going to be helpful for you this morning. So we're in week number 4 of Wonderlife. And this is part of this life group series that we're in. In fact, let me just point this out. We got the Following Jesus books. Now, if my voice sounds funny, Shay, maybe you could fix it. She just left the building. Okay, oh, there she is. Okay. It sounds kind of funny and tinny. Maybe, I don't know if you need to doctor it up a little bit more to make me sound cool. That'd be great. So we're in transition this week as we end week 4 of the Wonderlife book, and we're going into using this book, Following Jesus. If you don't have it, it'll be for sale for you out there in the lobby right after the service is over. Your life group leader should have one available for you just in case. Maybe you already got one, but just in case, if you life group leaders, grab it, some extras just so you have some. But if you want to buy one, feel free to do it after the service, and Rachel will be glad to sell you one of these $5. But if you want one anyways, this is a good book, and we're going to be preaching on this over the next few weeks as well. And it's going to be very enjoyable. Good stuff for us. So thank you, Rachel, for doing that. Pastor Vanessa was going to sell the book for us, but for some reason she didn't show up today to church. I don't know. Something about having a kid or something yesterday. I don't know. It sounded kind of like a lame excuse to me, right? Just kidding. We're excited for her. Hey, Psalm 37:4 is where we're going to start. Love this verse, Psalm 37:4. What an amazing promise, an amazing reminder this is to us. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. That's cool. I love this verse. This is one that I've prayed, I've thought about, I've talked to, I've counseled people for so many years. Delight yourself in the Lord. And what happens in turn is that He gives us the desires of our heart. That's a pretty good exchange, right? Now, here's the deal. We often find ourselves going after the desires of our heart and pursuing the desires of our heart. And what we do is we're so fixated on that, maybe preoccupied on the things that I want and my desires, that we kind of push God aside too often. And we're like, oh, yeah, God, I love you. I believe in you. And so I want you part of my life. But we kind of mix this up. We like, hey, pursue the desires of your heart, and sometimes remember God. It's sometimes how we live this verse out. But it's important that we live this in its proper order. We're supposed to begin with delighting in Him. I love that, delight. That means that you and I can just take pleasure and enjoyment in your relationship with God. Did you know that you can enjoy your relationship with God? Sometimes people think that the relationship with God is more duty than it is delight. It's more of a have to instead of a want to. It's more of a like, oh, I'm a follower of Jesus, so I've got to do my duty. I got to read the Bible today. I got to put my prayer time in, even if it's just a little bit. We feel like it's a duty when really it's more about a delight, or hopefully it should be a delight. Sometimes we get into that season where it's a have to, but we want to move into it's a want to. Sometimes maybe it feels like a duty, so you maybe want to develop some habits and rhythms in your life and really pursue Jesus, so it becomes a delight. And so that the joy of your relationship with God is what you experience every single day. In fact, our relationship with God should be probably the greatest thing we experience in life. You should find more pleasure, more joy, more fulfillment in that relationship with God than in anything else on planet Earth. Why? Because everything else pales in comparison to Him and how great and amazing God is. Isn't that amazing that you and I can enjoy this relationship with God? Delight in Him. Here's what I've learned is that God longs, He wants to delight in you. He wants to enjoy time with you. He wants to be with you. And so delight in Him. And here's what happens. He will give you the desires of your heart. If you and I put Him at the center of our life, the focus of our life, and make Him what our life is all about, He promises to give us the desires of our heart. We struggle with trusting Him in this, though, because we're like, okay, maybe it's misconceptions about what it means to follow Jesus. Maybe it's because we saw some religious people that were like, you got to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Christianity is not about being fun. It's about living in the truth, praise God. Okay, maybe some people have communicated that to you, but really this following Jesus thing is about enjoying life to the fullest because you're living life with your Creator, the one who gave you life. That's why we call this the Wonder Life. This is a great verse for us to really conclude this Wonder Life portion. God desperately wants you to love life and live a wonder-filled life and experience great relationships and fun throughout life. And so we struggle with trusting him with giving us this enjoyment in life because we feel like I gotta make sure that happens. Well, here's the truth. Here's the reality is when we put Jesus at the center and we delight in him, and he gives us the desires of our heart. And here's what I've learned, is that I actually enjoy those things even more from a relationship with Jesus instead of in spite of a relationship with Jesus. Sometimes we try to enjoy things in spite of Jesus. Or sometimes we try to I want to pursue this thing and try to include Jesus in onto this. But Jesus is like, no, I need to be the main thing or no thing in your life. And so that's where the delight comes in though. Okay, so it's not a duty thing, it's a delight. And so I want to encourage us to start there with that delight, delighting in him. And he promises to give you the desires of your heart. You know, the other thing I've learned is that I just have desires that I didn't even know were there. And all of a sudden he gives me these desires and I'm like, this is awesome. I love this. And God knows us better than he knows ourselves. That's one of the things we've learned through this series. And so, man, I just want to encourage us as we pursue this life with Jesus, living this wonder-filled life. Let's live out this verse. Take delight in him, and he'll give you the desires of your heart. What a great promise. Can we just pray right there? Just stop right there. Lord, my prayer is that all of us would experience the reality of that verse right there. What an amazing, amazing psalm that was written down thousands of years ago that is just as true today as it was then. That God, if we will just put you at the center of our life, and we're going to enjoy life, and you will give us desires of our heart, Lord. And so right now we trust in you. We surrender to you again. And Lord, we want to delight in our relationship with you and enjoy you to the fullest, Lord, knowing that you are going to do great things in us and great things through us, knowing that we can trust you. And so we do that, Lord. And I just ask again that you'd speak to us here this morning, Lord. As we open up your word some more, God, speak to us, challenge us, encourage us, and convict us if need be, I pray. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So we've been on a fun journey here in this Wonder Life. Week number 1 talked about my story matters. That was a few weeks ago. Your story matters. In fact, I love that we sang that great old hymn, This Is My Story, earlier today. Wasn't that cool? Your story matters. Why? Because of who authored your life, who gave you life, the Creator, God himself. And because you matter to him, your story and your life matters. Okay, then we got, I'm unashamed about what I love and care about. I love that. Live a life unashamed about what you're passionate about, what you're gifted in. And we talked about last week, I am honest about my obstacles and opportunities. And that was a fun week as we learned it's difficult to be honest, right? Very difficult to be honest with ourselves. But this is a very important thing if we're really going to experience this life that God has for us. Or if we're going to experience all that he has for us, I got to be honest with some stuff in my life. And then this week we're going to talk about, as we bring it to conclusion, I am fully present in my life. So we're coming to an end, but obviously this isn't the end. It's still a lifelong journey that we're on, right? It's like you can't think about this stuff anymore. It's done. We passed that. Okay, don't even talk about it anymore. Okay, we already learned it all. We're good. Let's move on to other things. No, this is going to be a journey we're on for the rest of our life as we're discovering our passions and our giftings and pursuing these dreams that God is stirring inside of us, and still always dealing with things going on the inside that maybe God needs to rip out of us, right? That are holding us back. Man, I have learned and grown a lot through this series. It's been amazing as I write down things in this workbook, how God has really just spoke to me and really showed some of the junk that I got in me, some of the things that I got to rip out, like, oh man, is that still there? Man, but it's always so good for us to be honest with ourselves and let God do a little surgery, maybe a little heart surgery on us, clean us up a little bit so that those things don't hold us back, so that those things don't weigh us down. And And I've learned a lot about myself. God's stirring up some new dreams inside of me, things that I want to pursue, things that I'm really excited about for the future. One of the other things I've really learned and gotten from this study is just a reminder constantly that my life, your life, our lives is really not about us, it's about him. It's really about him. He is the central figure in the story of mankind, and so I got to make sure that I'm living for him. But then the great news is, man, as I live for him, if I delight in him, man, he wants to give us a great life. He wants us to enjoy life, and so that's going to happen out of that relationship with him. So hopefully you've been learning and growing through this. Those of you that have been using the workbook, hey, did you know I was reading this book this week, and there's research that shows that people who write things down, that journal things and process things, they actually are healthier because of it. Research proves this. So even some of those silly little exercises, we're writing down some things like, oh, what on earth, rooms of the house, kind of a deal. Maybe some of you love to journal already. So those who love to write things down and process things, just know that's going to make you healthier and stronger. They are mentally stronger and able to handle things in life better. Research actually proves that. So, man, if you ever wanted to start journaling, start now. I guess you become a healthier individual and a stronger individual. So, man, it's been a great series, great study so far. One of the things that has been resonating to me is that, I love Bible studies. But sometimes I think we need a little less Bible study and more Bible doing. And this has kind of been more, maybe less on the Bible study, but more on the Bible doing, which is something so important for us, right? All right, so let's talk about this week. I'm fully present in my life. Here's the main idea that I want us to catch. Before we go home, I pray that you never forget this. Okay, it's simple. Be present, not preoccupied. Be present, not preoccupied. Another one of those things that's just obviously easier said than done, but I think very, very important. And let me just say this from the very beginning. This is a message that I think America needs to hear. This is such an important message for today's culture. Some of you, this may not apply to you as much. You may be doing okay in this. Awesome. Keep doing okay. Keep growing in this. For some of us, this is going to be very convicting. Okay? So don't get mad at me if you feel convicted. Just respond how you need to respond. But let me start off with a quote that I pulled out of the workbook from Mike Foster. He says this. He says, sometimes we get sick of now, meaning the present. Okay, we get sick of now because it's also where the stress is. This is where I feel the stress right now. Now is where we feel pain, despair, and doubt. And when we do, we are tempted to do one of two things. Live in the past or live in the future. Right? And so if I'm living in the past or I'm living in the future, then obviously I can't live in the present. It hinders me from being fully present right where I'm at. And that's the goal, is that you and I would be people who are present. You know that just because you're here, it doesn't mean that you're here. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean, Vern? One of my basketball coaches used to say, the lights are on, but nobody's home. Okay, because I could be here, but not be here. And as I stand up here week after week after week, I can see that take place every single week too. It's kind of fun for me. Sometimes I hope he didn't notice. Well, sometimes I do. And I see some people falling asleep. They're teeter-bobbing, They're fighting it. They're falling asleep, and I just feel bad I'm boring you. I'm sorry for boring you to death. Or maybe you just stayed up too late. Or maybe there's other things going on. I don't know. Some of you, your mind's wandering. It's obvious. And sometimes that can be a good thing, right? Okay, it's not always a bad thing. Maybe God's speaking to you, and that's awesome. Listen to him. Don't listen to me. He's going to say better things, okay? But other times, let's be real. Okay, our mind's wandering off to where am I going for lunch today? Last week, where did I go? This week, maybe I've been eating out too much. Maybe I should just go home and make a sandwich, And our mind wanders, doesn't it, okay? Can I just encourage you right now just to be here? These next few moments, engage. Be engaged. If you aren't engaged, you could miss something. And it's not that I'm smart and have lots of things to say. I just think that God might want to say something through something that's said today. And you could miss it if you're not engaged. Came across this book years ago that I just devoured. I love this book. It's called The Power of full engagement. And the whole premise of this book was that a lot of people are living lives that are disengaged. Wherever they go, they're actually disengaged. And the foundation of it has to do not with time management, but with energy management. I can't give my energy to where I'm at right now. And so they talk about taking care of yourself physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. 4 areas of your life. It's not a Christian book, but has amazing Christian principles in it. And they talk about how a lot of America is just, wherever they go, they're not fully engaged with where they're at. In fact, let me read this one quote that I pulled out of the book. So it says, more and more, what I find is you don't really live in the present anymore. You're never fully engaged in what you're doing at any given moment because what you really want to do is finish it in order to get onto something else. You kind of skim along the surface of life. It's very frustrating. You ever been there? You ever felt there? If I could just finish this and then I can move on to the next thing. And sometimes it's like, I got to finish this. I just got to get done with work so I can just get home. Or I got to finish this at home because I got to get to work, you know. And it's like I got to get on to the next thing, so I got to finish this. And sometimes if we're not careful, for many of us, we can fall into that rhythm of that's where we're living life. And we're never fully engaged with what we're at. We're just trying to finish that to get to the next thing, whatever the next thing is. So the book talks about this fascinating phenomenon that is hurting families and corporate America. Because we have all these people that are living disengaged lives. They're at work, and all they're doing at work is thinking about home. When they're at home, they're thinking about work. They're not fully engaged with where they're at, and they can't be fully productive because they're disengaged in life. It's so important that you and I live a life that's fully engaged. Okay, here's the idea we're going for. Be present, but not preoccupied. Be present, but not preoccupied. So, from that quote from Mike Foster from the workbook I read earlier, pain and insecurities are one of the reasons why we can not be present. But another thing that really causes us to not be present is busyness. We get busy in life. Okay, and busyness, what I've learned, leads us to being preoccupied. Listen to this quote from Dallas Willard. You must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. For hurry is the great enemy of spiritual life in our world today. I want to read that again because that was really good, okay? You must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. For hurry is the great enemy of spiritual life in our world today. And I heard that quote several weeks ago, and that's just been resonating in my heart ever since. Ruthlessly eliminate hurry. I wonder how much you and I miss out on life because we're in a hurry. I wonder what things we miss out because we're not present. We're just busy. Our minds are preoccupied and we miss out. If we knew, we might be shocked. That'd be kind of scary. There's a study that was done 10 years ago now, back in 2007. A Friday morning in January, a guy named Josh Bell walked into the metro station of Washington, D.C., and while he was there, he played 6 concertos of Bach with his 300-year-old violin that's worth $3.5 million. Okay, it's a big deal. It's kind of cool. Kind of wish you could have been there, right? Free concert, 6 amazing songs on a pretty amazing instrument. Josh Bell was the guy's name. Now, this same guy actually had played to a packed-out audience just a couple nights before in D.C., where people paid hundreds of dollars to listen to him play music. Now, a couple days later, cold January morning, he's wearing a baseball cap. You can kind of see it in the picture there. It's kind of blurry, but you can kind of see it. There he is in the metro station just playing music. And this was actually an experiment that was done by the Washington Post. They wanted to see what would happen. So what they saw happen was almost 1,100 people walked right by him as he played all of these songs. And you know how many stopped? 7. 7 people of the nearly 1,100 people stopped to listen. As he ended each of the songs, there was no applause. There was no recognition, nothing, just quiet. People just moving along, doing their thing. At the end of his time there, he had received $32.17 in tip. And $20 of that actually came from one person who actually recognized him. So, you know, what's amazing, though, is you think about what just took place, though, in that moment. Hundreds of people walked by somebody who's playing one of the greatest musicians on planet Earth, Josh Bell, playing some of the greatest music ever written in history by one of the most beautiful instruments ever put together. Something that people paid hundreds of dollars for the night before. They didn't even notice what was going on right next to them as they walked by. I wonder, friends, how many things we miss in life because we're in a hurry. We're just too busy, and we miss out on important things, maybe even those moments just to pause and to see the beauty of life. And just to take in, like, oh, man, just maybe a deep breath and like, man, God, you are good because of that, whatever that is. We miss out on moments like that because we're preoccupied. We're busy. You know, I think the number one culprit of that in our culture today is it's this fun thing called the smartphone. The old smartphone. You know, sometimes I wonder who's smart, people who got the dumb phone or people who got the smartphone. I think people who got the dumb phone are smarter than people with the smartphone. I just bought my son, who turned 12, a phone, his first phone, but there's no way on earth we're getting him a smartphone device. Okay, we're getting him a flip phone. He got a dumb phone. Okay, so I'm using this dumb phone, and I'm having flashbacks to life with these phones. I'm like, oh, so much more simple. I remember doing the old T9 text thing. You remember how fast you could do the T9 text thing? You're like, man, you had it down. There's only 9 little buttons you'd push, but boy, you could text fast. And I'm playing around with that, and I'm thinking to myself, I want to go back to this. That would be nice. Now, I love my smartphone. Don't get me wrong. It helps organize my life. But let's be real. How much of a distraction is that phone in our life? Many of us are addicted to that thing. We can't even put it aside and put it down. It's a scary place to get to when we get there. Now, I read a story this week about a dad who was talking about how he missed an important moment with his children. You want to know why? Because he was too busy on his phone working on an Instagram post about how he was spending time with his children. And because he was working on the post to telling everyone, the whole world, about how, you know, he's a great dad spending time with his children, he missed a moment that he could never get back, and he was bummed by it. Isn't that kind of the picture of what could happen way too many times, and we may not even realize it? We're so busy portraying to the world, maybe even through social media with our smartphone, of this is my life, this is what's going on, that we're really missing out maybe on this moment to be with people and to be with God. Okay, I love social media and all that kind of stuff, but I'm telling you guys, if it is hindering us from being present, is it really worth it? I think some of us, we need to assess this. Where are you at? How are you doing? Well, some of us, we're committing adultery on our families with Mr. or Mrs. Smartphone. And it's pulling us away. It's capturing our heart and our attention, and maybe time we should give to people and family. Maybe put down the phone. Maybe it's time for a little breakup. Maybe to end the relationship. Maybe you need a little DTR, a little define the relationship with the smartphone. Put some boundaries on it, okay? And figure out, how's this thing going to be connected to my life? Because it could rule me if I'm not careful. Okay, and some of you, you're feeling me as I say this. I know, okay? But this is one of those things, guys, that, hey, technology is amazing, but it can also be deadly. Did you watch the opening ceremonies? Oh, man, the Olympics are on, guys. Can I just say I'm excited? It's awesome, okay? I love watching the Olympics. Okay, so I watched part of the opening ceremonies. Beautiful, amazing. Just the picture of North Korea and South Korea coming together and then like walking up the steps. All that. I mean, it was like, oh, wow, that's cool. Okay, I think God is doing something through this. And we need to pray that God will continue to do something within those countries there through something simple as the Olympics. Okay, so as the opening ceremonies were going on, one of the announcers was talking about how technology is a big deal in South Korea, but it's also a major, major addiction in that country. There are countless centers all across the country for people to recover from technology addiction. In fact, they have this, I think they call it the Cinderella rule or Cinderella law, where they do not allow kids from 16 and under to play video games from midnight to 6 a.m. It's against the law in that nation, which sounds crazy, but you think it was so bad they had to make it a law. Okay, and that could be us. So we could go that far. Lord, help us. But I'm just saying that this technology, man, it can be to the detriment of us too. We got to be careful, because as amazing as technology is, it can cause us, hinder us from being fully present and fully engaged in right now. And that's the goal. Be present, not preoccupied. And what's preoccupying your heart? What's preoccupying your mind? Is it hindering you from being fully present with where you should be? Well, today's the day to deal with that. We're going to look at a guy named King Solomon. Great king in Israel's history. You can go to 1 Kings chapter 3, by the way, if you want to turn there. He's one of the most famous kings in Israel. He's wise and wealthy and rich. And, lots of cultures around the world have heard of King Solomon. In fact, did you know that there was actually a pizza joint named King Solomon down off of Camelback? That's how famous King Solomon is, okay, it's closed now. It shut down a couple years ago, apparently. That's unfortunate, but for a while there, King Solomon had a good thing going here in town, I guess, too. So we know that God had a special love for King Solomon, because when Solomon was an infant, the prophet Nathan came to David, his dad, and said, hey, God has given your son the sacred name of Jedediah, which means loved by the Lord. And so King Solomon's reign began in an amazing way. It was full of hope and life and so much promise. If ever there was a king in Israel's history that started off great and pointed people to the worship of God, it was King Solomon. So let's look at why he started that way. You can kind of see who he was at the beginning here. 1 Kings chapter 3, starting with verse 4. It says, the king went to Gibeon to offer sacrifices, for that was the most important high place. And Solomon offered 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon during the night in a dream, and God said, ask for whatever you want me to give you. How many like that question right there, huh? Whoa, that's cool. Solomon answered, you have shown great kindness to your servant, my father David, because he was faithful to you and righteous and upright in heart. You have continued this great kindness to him and have given him a son to sit on his throne this very day. Now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David. But I'm only a little child and do not know how to carry out my duties. Your servant is here among the people you have chosen, a great people too numerous to count or number. So give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern this great people of yours? The Lord was pleased that Solomon had asked for this, so God said to him, since you have asked for this and not for long life or wealth or for yourself, nor have asked for the death of your enemies, but for discernment in administering justice, I will do what you have asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be. Moreover, I will give you what you have not asked for, both riches and honor, so that in your lifetime you will have no equal among kings. And if you walk in my ways and obey my statutes and commands, as David your father did, I will give you a long life. All right, this is how David's reign as king begins. So God comes to him and says, hey, you can ask me for whatever you would like. Now, how many can think of some things you'd like to ask God in that moment right there, huh? Anybody like, okay, I got a whole list of them. Okay. Man, this is awesome. Thanks, God, for asking. I've been waiting. I would like to have a winning lottery ticket. I would like to, and you could probably go on and say lots of cool things, right? Things that sound good. What does Solomon ask for? He asked for wisdom. God, here's what I really need. I just need wisdom. You can see the humility of heart that he has. He's like, I actually just want to be the best king that I possibly can be for your people. Man, you've been faithful to my dad and faithful to me. And God, really my heart's desire is to do this with wisdom. So that's all I need. Wisdom. So God fills him with wisdom, becomes the wisest man that is said to have ever lived on planet Earth. So, sorry, it's the mute button. What does he do? He starts pouring all of his youthful energy into building the temple of the Lord, because that was the plan. David wanted to do it. His dad wanted to do it, but God says, no, your son's going to have to do it. So he pours all of his energy into building this temple to honor God. And when the temple was dedicated, Solomon got down on his knees, and he's praising God, and he's crying out to God. He's worshiping God, and he's praying to God on behalf of all of the nation of Israel. I mean, so as you read through the story of Solomon in the beginning, you think, this guy's passionate about God. He's got this zealousness to live for God and for everybody else to do the same. So I'm saying this is an amazing beginning that Solomon has in his kingship. So now if you're Satan, the adversary of God, what do? Because you got a big problem on your hands. And I know you probably never thought that. What would I do if I were Satan? Okay, that's kind of an odd question. But if you think about what's going on in the big picture, the adversary of God has got a big problem on his hands, right? The king of God's people is passionate about God, and he's helping all the people serve and worship God. So I can imagine Satan saying, man, I gotta take this guy out. I gotta go after the leader, because then I can get everybody else. Probably thinking through his favorite strategies on how to take out people. Lands on really what could be called like this secret weapon of his. It's a secret weapon, and it's really a simple one. All the adversary of God had to do was allow Solomon to get so busy that he became preoccupied. And the rest would be history. So like I said, it had been in God's plan for Solomon to build the temple. So that's what he did. Solomon got busy doing the Lord's work. This is what he's supposed to be doing. He's building the temple. Now, this temple that Solomon built was an amazing, amazing building. It's one of like the architectural marvels of the ancient world. This place was incredible. The problem was Solomon never found much time to worship in it after it was built. Because from there he went on to, I want to build this, and I want to do this, and I got this project, and I want to do this. And he had all these things that he started doing after that. In fact, he speaks to himself. Here he talks about it in Ecclesiastes 2. He says, I undertook great projects. I built houses for myself. Notice houses is plural. Houses for myself, and planted vineyards. I made gardens and parks and planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made reservoirs to water groves of flourishing trees. Okay, it goes on and on and on for years, decades. This guy is building and creating all of this stuff. I mean, it was an amazing time to live in Jerusalem. But when he built the temple, it took 7 years. But then when he built his own personal palace, he spent 13 years. I can imagine there had to have been some moments, especially in those early years of building the temple, he had to have sensed that his heart was drifting away from God. That his heart wasn't in the same place. It wasn't as devoted and passionate as it used to be. But I bet he did what we all do. He rationalized it. Oh, hey, I'm just doing good stuff here. This is the Lord's work. Hey, as soon as I'm done with this, then I'll have more time to really seek God, and I'll be able to get my priorities back in order again, You know how we rationalize things? Hey, as soon as life slows down, then I'll have more time for family, for this, then I can pursue this. I can do this. And so once I get to this point, and the problem is we keep pushing out, we keep rationalizing, and what happens is we can do the same thing that happened to Solomon, is our heart drifts further and further away from the Lord and from the things that are supposed to be important in our life. But it's easy to rationalize misplaced priorities when we're doing things that are good. Oh, this is good stuff. For Solomon, this is like the Lord's work. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. For me, I find myself falling into the same trap. I'm doing ministry. I'm helping people, and I get so busy doing this ministry, all that ministry, that I can neglect the people that are most important to me in my life, and that's my family. And so I can, in the name of doing the Lord's work, all of a sudden find myself living this life of misplaced priorities. But I can rationalize it as easy because it's ministry. I can easily fall into the same trap. You and I could fall into the same trap. I'm doing this. I got to make money. I got to support my family. This is good and all this. And we're rationalizing all the stuff. But what we're doing is we're rationalizing misplaced priorities. That's what happened for Solomon. The building projects went on and on, project after project, year after year. And all too soon, Solomon finds himself a tired old man. Gone were the years of his life. But also gone was his heart for the Lord. You can read about it through his life, and he's even you go through the rest of Ecclesiastes as he talks about it. Man, all this stuff that I pursued in life, you know what it was? Meaningless. It was meaningless. Man, why did I get caught up in this and all this? And it's a sad thing where his heart got pulled away. It got preoccupied. You think, what a master stroke by the enemy of God. His secret weapon preoccupation worked like a slow poison, gradually pulling Solomon's heart away, day after day after day, away from God. And you know that secret weapon works so well on the wisest man on planet Earth that he still uses it today. To you and I, we can find ourselves in the same place, preoccupied. And so preoccupied that I can't even be present with where I'm supposed to be right now. So preoccupied that I actually push God completely out of my life, and it's like, I forget about him. And man, if I'm too busy for God, then I am really too busy, right? Man, I'll get back into church when life slows down and we got this going on, and we've seen, we've done, we've been around, those excuses, those rationalizations, man, they can mess us up and send us on a path that for years we could be going the wrong direction. Solomon realized it. I encourage you to, if you need to make some course correction, then do it today. Start deciding today, I'm going to be present and not live a preoccupied life. I want to live a life that is present. I'm telling you, this pole of preoccupation is what I like to call it. It can pull all of us. It's powerful. It can take us all out. We get caught up. We're getting busy. We're preoccupied. Life's just busy, right? And I decided years ago that if life's going to be busy, I can't change that. I want to make sure I'm busy doing the right things. Because it's easy to get busy doing the wrong things. And I get preoccupied with wrong stuff and my priorities get whacked. So I want to make sure I'm doing the right things. But now I'm even learning how to maybe slow down a little bit and to ruthlessly eliminate hurry from my life. And here's why. Because I just have this sense, this longing. Maybe you sense this in your heart too. But Revelations 3:20 is a verse where Jesus is constantly saying this to me, Tyrone. Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. Here I am, Tyrone. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice, what great, interesting language. Anyone. Is there anyone that wants to spend time with me? Anyone in the church? Have you forgotten who I am? Anyone? Hears my voice and opens the door. I will come in and eat with him and he with me. This just speaks to the fact that God wants to take delight in you and wants us to delight in him. He wants us to enjoy relationship. Just enjoy life with him. Sometimes that doesn't even necessarily mean we need to change all the things we're doing. We just need to learn how to do them with him. And learn to be aware of his presence. So his presence is always present, but I'm not always aware of it because I'm preoccupied. And so it's learning to live in that place. I'm making sure I'm having these moments where I respond to the call, to the beck and call of Jesus. Hey, here I am. I'm knocking on the door. Man, I just want to spend some time with you. Just want to be with you. Just want to sit down. How you doing? Let me help. Let's spend some time together. How often do we neglect that? Because we're just preoccupied and busy, guys. Maybe some of you today, for the first time, can respond to that knock. And today can be a day where you just begin a relationship with Jesus for the first time, and you're like, Jesus, I'm ready to live for you and surrender my life to you. Like I said, it's the greatest decision you'll ever make in your life. Many of us, though, we made that decision years ago, but now we tend to neglect his knock, him calling us. Sometimes you sense it, man, God, I'm sorry, I've just been running too busy, man. And you feel it in your heart. You feel Revelations 3:20. It's like he's speaking that to you, right? He's like, just come, you don't have to do anything. Just come and be with me. That's why I love church is so important, guys, because it forces us to come and just stop. And just look to him. We need these moments, if for anything else, for that, right? To just stop and remember, oh, that's right, God. You're actually a pretty big deal in my life. And I really want to live for you. But man, that needs to be a normal part of our life, guys. We respond to Jesus' call, just come and spend time with me. Come and spend time with me. Man, it's so easy, guys, to be preoccupied and to not live a life that's fully engaged and present with where we're at. Let me encourage you, be present. Don't miss out on now. Don't miss out on what God wants to do today. Don't miss out on even moments with friends and family today because you're preoccupied with whatever. The list could be 100 things. today, be all here. Be all here. I was thinking about this song this week as I was preparing this message. You probably have heard it before. It's I don't remember who wrote it. I didn't write it down, but The Cat's in the Cradle. Remember that song? Cat's in the Cradle, man. What a great message to that song. And I wanted to read just a few of the lyrics to this song. I won't sing it for you here, but I won't play it or sing it. I sang it in first service just a little bit, but my voice right now with where I'm at, it sounds a little bit more like Johnny Cash. And so, my child arrived just the other day. He came to the world in the usual way. That's my best Johnny Cash impression right now, okay? So let me read this to you guys, because this speaks to the big picture of life and the importance of being present. A child arrived just the other day. He came to the world in the usual way. But there were planes to catch and bills to pay. He learned to walk while I was away. Oh man, that wrecks me every time. And he was talking before I knew it. And as he grew, he'd say, I'm going to be like you, Dad. You know I'm going to be like you. You know, the Cat's in the Cradle, silver spoon, all that. Okay, skip all that. Next verse. My son turned 10 just the other day. He said, thanks for the ball, Dad. Come on, let's play. Can you teach me to throw? And I said, not today. I got a lot to do, he said. He said, that's okay. And he walked away, but his smile never dimmed. Said, I'm going to be like him. Yeah, you know I'm going to be like him. Goes to the chorus. Another verse, comes back from college. I want to jump to the last verse, though. This is how the song ends. He says, I've long since retired. My son's moved away. I called him up just the other day. I said, I'd like to see if you don't mind. He said, I'd love to, Dad, if I could find the time. You see, my new job's a hassle and the kids got the flu, but it's sure nice talking to you, Dad. It's sure been nice talking to you. And as I hung up the phone, it occurred to me, he'd grown up just like me. My boy was just like me. Man, if we're not careful, guys, life just flies away. Life is so short. It's so fast. People older than me for years have said, man, the older you get, the faster life gets. And I'm finding that's so true. Man, my son used to be like this. And now he's like this. I can't even pick him up. Like I'm like, man, what happened? 12, going to be a teenager. And you realize, man, life just goes like that. And if I'm not careful, I'm going to miss out on so much. If I am not present, I'm going to miss out on so much in my family. But even what's bigger than that, I'm going to miss out on things that God wants to do in my life. And maybe even things that God wants to use my life to do if I'm not present for whatever reason. Be present, not preoccupied. I'm telling you guys, preoccupation will take you down the wrong path. It'll take you down the wrong course, and it may be years before you realize and wake up, oh, what have I been doing? Maybe today's a wake-up call. Maybe you've tried to change before. It's too hard, Tyrone. You don't know what I've gone through, my family, all that. You know, can I just say, don't convince yourself it's not possible. Don't listen to the lies. That's a lie. Whether it's a lie you're telling yourself or it's from the enemy, okay, stop listening to the lie. God has the ability and the power to help you change and to make decisions that will help you out today. Look to him. Maybe there's some decisions you need to make right now, today, to reprioritize, to make sure you can live a life that's present right here and now. Let me give you 3 words to help with this. I want you to write these down, 3 words. To help you think about making decisions. You can write it down on your hand if you want. Okay? The old Palm Pilot right there. That's an old joke. Those 3 words are do it now. Do it now. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait for someday. Don't wait for the season to slow down. Oh, I'm kind of busy right now. I don't know. No, let me just say, do it now. Whatever you need to do it now. Today. Make the most of today. Today's all you got. Today is all you got. You're not even promised tomorrow. Make the most of today. Be all here. Enjoy today. The best you possibly can. Be present with the people around you. And be present with God. Let me encourage you to say those words. Do it now, like 50 times in a row, several times throughout the day. I'm telling you, I've been doing this, guys, and it's amazing. It just reminds me, it builds an urgency of like, that's right, today. I'm going to make the decision today. This exercise thing that I want to do, or this, whatever it is, today, not tomorrow, today. Do it now. I want you to stand to your feet. We're going to pray. Man, I love this topic, being present in your life. It's an important one for today's day and age, for our culture, and for many of us here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take these last few moments before we go, guys, and we're going to fully engage in just lifting up the name of Jesus. Yeah, I know you've got things to do. You got really important things to do today. We all do, right? We've got food to eat. We've got, Bell Road Church has a softball game tonight we got to get to. And just in case you didn't know, we have a softball team and it's dominating the Glendale Parks and Rec department right now. And when I say dominating, we're actually winning a few games this year. As opposed to last year, right? So we got things to do today, guys, but before we go, can we just be fully present and engage in the presence of God for a few moments? Let's just lift up. We already sang this song. What a wonderful name. But man, I was just thinking about the words of the song. They're so true, so amazing, so powerful. Think about them. Declare them from the bottom of your heart right now. Don't just do karaoke for these next few moments. Just sing them from the bottom of your heart. Just say, yes, this is it. There's no name higher than your name, Jesus. Well, let's mean this. Let's be fully present and engaged in these words that we're about ready to say right now, okay?